want to bring in Victoria here. Is this issue predominantly one of effectively constrained resources and inadequate training methods, or do you think that the DEI agenda, which came to prominence with respect to police after the Henry Novak death, should be the area of focus here?
Well, I think that every single time when all of us go to work, most of us, particularly in fields like policing, we have a set amount of hours that we're supposed to be at work, right? And so those hours can either be filled with things that are out in the field or things that are not out in the field. And if that's filled with classroom time and people are, spending millions, if not billions of pounds, in your case across the pond, or dollars in our case here in the US, of learning ideologies that have just come and are new and fresh and, are out of academia and have very little bearing in the real world, that means that people's focus and budget and resources are not being spent on the things that actually prevent crime. And I think that's what really should be looked at here. As a journalist, I always love to look at the numbers, and I love to look at breakdowns of how dollars are spent and how budgets are spent, particularly by government bodies. And so if that analysis tells you that people are not out in the field, they're not, doing community outreach, for example, where people know to come to the police when they have issues, or they're not actually spent on preventing crime or deterring crime, which I think is also a very valuable aspect of policing, which I also think has significantly diminished, at least on this side of the pond, particularly in the post-COVID era, post-George Floyd and things like that. People are scared of police, and people also, I think, look at alternative methods of keeping the peace. For example, here in Washington, D.C., that's been National Guardsmen, and people have been skeptical of President Trump's attempt to really use that as a crime deterrent. But I also think that goes to show that when people see uniformed members, whether that's military, police, National Guard, that is actually an effective crime deterrent. And if you don't have that visibility, people think they can just roam willy-nilly and commit whatever crimes they want.